In Game 3 of their series, the Toronto Raptors came into Orlando and beat the Orlando Magic by the final score of 98-93 to seize back home court advantage and take a 2-1 lead in their series. Earlier on in the game, well, at the very beginning of the game, Toronto tried to pounce on the Orlando Magic, and they took a 10-0 lead. Looked like it could be maybe an early blowout, but uh, the Raptors weren't able to take advantage of a lot of their offensive opportunities. And if I'm not mistaken, immediately after they took their 10-0 lead, the Raptors missed like 9 consecutive shots. Earlier on, I noticed that the Orlando Magic were truly trying to contain Kawhi Leonard to the best of their abilities. And for the most part, they were able to contain Kawhi Leonard. I think he did have a strong third quarter, I think it was. Not even second or third quarter. Um, but overall, Kawhi Leonard had, by his standards, a very pedestrian game of 16 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists. But of course, when you're trying to contain one player like a Kawhi Leonard, it means you're trying to you're willing to let someone else benefit off of that. And of course, that was the player that's generally seen as their second best player now, Pascal Siakam. And Pascal Siakam had a career night. He had 30 points, which is a playoff career high for him. And again, this is only his third career playoff game. 30 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 assists. And he's quickly becoming seen as perhaps a future All Star or maybe even a future superstar in the making. Um, Kyle Lowry, he had a decent game. I thought that he would be a no-show in the second half. He did produce somewhat offensively. Um, he had 12 points, 5 rebounds, distributed the ball well, had 10 assists. Danny Green was big for them, 13 points and 2 assists. And Marcus All had 9 points, 3 rebounds, and 1 assist. For the Orlando Magic, the high man was Vucevic, 22 points, 14 rebounds, and 6 assists. This is the first game of this series where he was effective. I think in the first 2 games combined, he had maybe like less than 10 points. So this is the first game he really uh, was offensively productive. Unlike the first couple of games, especially the first game, DJ Augustine really was not a factor in this performance. A factor in this game. He only had 7 points. Terrence Ross, the former Raptor, was big. 24 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. Had that big buzzer-beating three-pointer at the half, which kind of you thought would shift the momentum into Orlando's favor going into the second half. The problems I saw with the Orlando Magic were, for the most part, they had stretches where they were able to knock down outside shots, but for the most part, they were not able to get their outside attack going tonight. Um, the Toronto Raptors played excellent defense on the Orlando Magic tonight. The Orlando Magic, which had been one of the better offensive teams in the NBA after the All Star break, and I think they came into the playoffs winning like 11 straight games or 13 straight games or something like that. Tonight, they did not look like that same team. Um, but there were so many times throughout the night where Orlando looked like they were going to claw back and get into this game and maybe even pull ahead. They had a couple of leads, but so many times they were able to crawl back and take maybe, come within 3 points or 2 points, and maybe somebody like Augustine would take a 3 point or Fournier, and they would miss. Or a couple times earlier in the first half, Vucevic might attempt a 3 pointer and miss. Um, that was pretty much the story, man. But it was that little stretch. I think it was in the third quarter where I think Orlando had actually taken the lead. I can't remember the exact score, but let's say it might have been a period of time where Orlando was up by like 3 points. I think it was when it might have been when Vucevic hit the 3 pointer, and I think they took something like a 59-57 lead or something like that. And then the very next possession, I think it was Danny Green who had a lot of critical baskets for the Raptors. He had a big 3 pointer. And then I think the Magic went on a little drought where they missed like 6 or 7 consecutive shots. And the Raptors, led by Pascal Siakam, who led a personal one man show in the third quarter and into the fourth quarter, they broke the game wide open for a period of time. I think they basically went up like 75-60. Like it went from 60-57 Orlando to something like 75-60 Toronto. And although Orlando was able to kind of get back into the game for several stretches, they just weren't able to overcome that big deficit. And that pretty much was the game, man. Got to take your hats off to the Raptors, man. They came into Orlando and they were able to get a very, very big victory. Um, Very big victory. And trying to think if there's anything else I want to talk about as far as in this particular game. Let's see. I'm going through all of the bigger particulars I want to talk about. Well, let's look at some stats, I guess. To illustrate my points about the defense, the Toronto Raptors held the Orlando Magic to only 36% shooting from the field overall, and the Magic, who normally shoot about 36% from 3 point range, were held to 29% 3 point range. Um, the Raptors only went to the foul line 10 times. The Orlando Magic went to the foul line 23 times, converting on 22 of 23 free throw attempts, but it was not enough. The rebounding battle was very close, with the Raptors winning barely 43-42. Um, points in the paint, points in the paint was a big factor as well. The Raptors outscored the Orlando Magic in the paint, 44-26, and a lot of that came from what I can remember, a lot of transition baskets. Um, the Orlando Magic is one of the best teams in the NBA as far as transition defense. But tonight, I remember a lot of, not a lot, but some of those points in the paint came from transition baskets. Remember there was a awesome assist from Kyle Lowry. Might have been like, I don't know, he might have been like near half court. It was a it was a pin perfect pass to Pascal Siakam cutting to the basket. But that's pretty much it, man. I think the Raptors are going to win this series. I think the next game is pivotal as to the spread. Now, I think that the Raptors are just going to win the series regardless. Um, if Orlando win the next game and tie the series at 2-all, I think the Raptors go on to win Game 5 to take a 3-2 lead. And I just can't see the series going 7 games. I mean, it could, but I would be shocked. I think the Raptors um, probably want to go ahead and take care of business. You know, they're going to want to go ahead and just end this series. I think the Raptors are going to win Game 4 of this series, and I think then after that, they're going to go into Toronto, go home, and take care of the series, and move on to the next round and play the winner of that Indianapolis and Indiana, and that team that I'm kind of covering because of what they did as far as with that fan who yelled that racial epithet at DeMarcus Cousins. I've decided that I'm going to try. I mean, I don't really want to mention that team. So basically, I'm just going to, if I do talk about a team, I'm just going to talk about Indiana Pacers. I'm going to blackball that team. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to talk about them. Um, but once again, shout out to Pascal Siakam. You know what I'm saying? I think he's the most improved player in the NBA. And that's pretty much it, man.